Welcome to the Wholesaling Inc. podcast, America's #1 podcast for new real estate investors, where we know that finding discounted properties is the most proven path to financial freedom. I am your host, Brent Daniels, Mr. TTP, Mr. Talk to People, and I am telling you this. If I can do this, so can you. So let's get started. We are talking about where 80% of brand new real estate wholesalers or investors find their first deal, their first opportunity, their first discounted property, and it comes simply from driving for dollars. This is going out into your community, onto the streets, and finding the properties that need the most renovation. They need the most love. To put it very simply, they are the ugliest properties in your community. And for the last 5 years, the #1 resource that has helped real estate investors and wholesalers is Deal Machine. So I want to talk about all the updates. I want to give you all the stats so that you have the expectations of how many properties do I have to find to get a deal, and how do I go out there and get those deals and make and start those quality conversations with the property owners. How do I go about all that? So it is my pleasure to bring back onto the podcast, back onto the YouTube channel, Matt Camp from Deal Machine. Matt, how are you, buddy?
Hey, Mr. TTP, thanks for having me on again.
I am excited because we're really going to be talking about quality over quantity. That is what you get from your driving for dollars list. It is a list that other people don't have. You can't just simply download it, but you guys have actually increased the filters for your Deal Machine app, showing all the other kinds of distress that are in the market. We're talking about pre-foreclosures and tired landlords and some of these unique distressed property lists. I'll let you go into it because you're going to do a much better job than I am. But talk to me about what is going on with Deal Machine. What you guys are seeing is the most effective ways to build your driving for dollars list.
Yeah, happy to. And again, I think you nailed it on the driving for dollars front of like, hey, this is the #1 strategy to find that first deal for newbies to get out there. You know, you're building this list that no one else has access to. You know, you're building a list that is exclusive to you. And because of that, like, hey, you're going to have a way less likelihood of going up against a ton of competition. Like, you're looking for those diamonds in the rough that you can only find by putting in the sweat equity, either you personally or hiring a driver to go and do that and build this list of, like you said, it's about the quality of lead over quantity. I know, like, we're always looking at our data to figure out, like, hey, let's give people a real guide to set goals and say, here's how many leads you need to be looking at to be able to get to that next deal. And when you're talking about, hey, quality over quantity, that's what we're talking about there. I know on average, typically when you're looking at pulling some list or buying some list versus driving for dollars, looking at our data, I mean, to get to that first deal, you're looking at typically 4 to 5x the marketing spend you're going to need to do when you pull a or buy a list versus building this exclusive list yourself. So that's what we mean by, like, hey, quality over quantity of lead. But I'm excited to show off some specifics in the software, the new updates we've been hard at releasing for you guys, and appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I mean, you guys are the best of the best. I mean, obviously, I'm a big supporter of Deal Machine because I do these interviews on this podcast, Wholesaling Inc. podcast, and it's like 50-50. You know, it's like 50% of the time people are saying, oh, I got this deal from driving for dollars, right? As opposed to some other list or some other technique. They're getting this list, the quality, and they're calling them. Typically, they're just going to pick up the phone. They're going to get the phone number, first of all, sorry. And let me back it up a little bit. They get the phone number for these property owners, and then they call them up and ask them if they would consider an offer. And it's that simple. If this is your first time listening to this podcast or seeing us on YouTube or whatever, and you're just getting into what is wholesaling, how do I find discounted properties? How do I go and find these incredible deals that I see all these interviews of people closing and they're making 10, 20, 50, $100,000 on? I'm telling you, it starts with building your driving for dollars list. Keep it simple. Ugly houses equal big checks. All right. So that is the focus. And Deal Machine over the last 5 years has spent more money. You have more support staff. You have more data. You guys have really been investing and reinvesting and reinvesting and reinvesting. We use it in our business every single day. I have a driver out there building our lists throughout Arizona, not just in our county. And it's been a huge, huge, huge benefit to our company because we close a lot of deals and make a lot of income from driving for dollars. That's just the facts. So, Matt, let's get into this thing. Talk to me about some of the updates that you guys have done with Deal Machine.
Yeah, happy to. And let me try to share my screen here. Perfect. Can you see that pulled up?
Yep.
Awesome. So looking at a couple of things here, I think one main focus of anything that we're doing, like you said, it's how do you build that list? So how do you get out there? How do you drive? How do you be able to most effectively and efficiently drive that area? Put out the highest quality leads and pull that into your list, pull that in your Deal Machine app. We're mobile app first, so you're typically out there driving around and tagging things. And like you said, Brent, we really double down on customer support there as well. We've got like a 2-minute response time in terms of our customer success team. So if you're out there and need any help, we're here to support you there too. But, step one is build that list. Step two is talk to people. Like you said, it's making that call. I know on average, if you look at our latest data, it's popped up a little bit in terms of number of leads that you need to get to that deal. You need to put in that hustle and talk to people like that. But the number of leads, typically, if you're in a market like a St. Louis, a Midwest market, you're looking at closer to like that, aim for like the 300 to 400 lead goal. Shoot for that to be able to say, hey, if you want to consistently land deals, land that first deal and consistently follow up with more success. Aim for that number to be able to put into Deal Machine and reach out to. If you're in a Phoenix or a California or somewhere a little more competitive, you're looking at typically like 2 to 3x that, closer to the 1,000 lead number. So that's where it gets really important to be able to use technology, add drivers to your team, add people to go out there and help you out on hitting that lead number, like you're doing, Brandon, within your own local market.
Yep.
And everything we're building is focused on that. So, step one, build
so
that
when you
list.
say real quick, just to clarify, Matt,
Go ahead.
leads means addresses, like these are properties that you see that you're adding to your Deal Machine app.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
So these are addresses of rough looking. These are basically 300 to 400 ugly houses. And if you're in a big market, 600 to 1,000 ugly houses. And then about how many ugly houses can you add to the app per hour if you're driving it, or if you're virtual driving it through like Google Maps or something like that? Do you have an idea on that, Matt?
Yeah, I think on the conservative side, you're looking at, I know on average you'll see like 20 to 30, especially if you're going to take pictures of the houses. But we've seen people get out there, and if you get used to this and you're in the right area where you've got a lot of options around you, we've seen people do up to like 1 a minute. So, I think like this is a process you can get better at and that you can consistently train at. But I think setting that like 30 leads an hour limit as a goal setting exercise to say, okay, if we need to hit 300 leads and we're doing 30 an hour, find 10 hours of driving. And, that's where you can put in the work to get to that first deal.
Love it. And I'll just tell everybody out there, the strategy that we implement is we don't go out and drive, and then start calling them. No. We get updated every single day, and we get the phone numbers, and we're adding it to our Driving for Dollars list that we're calling every single day. All right. So you can start taking action day one. You can drive out there, add 20, 30, 60 properties, get the phone numbers, and start making the calls. Because what I see is, Matt, some people use this as creative avoidance. They're like, well, I'm going to go out and drive and wait till I get to that 600 to 1,000 leads in this major market before I start reaching out to them. That's a huge mistake. Don't fall into that. Just because you're out there and you're building it, that's fantastic. But it is the magic happens when you're proactive. You reach out and have a conversation with that property owner. It's not just about building the list. So you can do it simultaneously. Do it at the same time as you're building your list. Make sure that you're reaching out to them either by call, text, or you can knock on their door. Or
Yeah, that
you
is a
can mail. You can also send out postcards
for sure.
through the app, which a lot of people do as well, and get a lot of success from that. Now, I know that when I was starting out, I didn't have a huge marketing budget, so I had to rely on my voice and my work ethic to go out there and find these opportunities. But if you do have a little bit of a budget, you can invest into the mailers. So now you're calling them, you're texting them, maybe you're door knocking, and you're sending a mailer on the hottest leads in the marketplace, because the fact is, at some point, that property owner either has to find a lot of money and contractors and organize to get that property fixed up to get top market value, or what they do 90% of the time, probably 95% of the time, is they sell it to somebody like us. They sell it to a real estate investor to be able to go out and do the work, because they don't have the money or the time or the experience, expertise, I should say, to go out there and fix it up themselves.
Yep. I think that was a phenomenal tip of saying, like, hey, don't put it off where you create the whole list and then start calling. Like, take action today where you're going out there, you're going in the field, you're adding, you're driving around, you're adding those leads right there. You can just pin the property right there and keep going, build a really, really strong list, and then come back and call that same day, where you can take action on it right now. Because I know when we look back and see, like, hey, what are the most successful investors doing? You're right. They're doing a combination of the skip trace, calling, text, email, door knock, that short-term feedback loop. They're putting them on a mail campaign to stay top of mind. And when you call, you have a little more familiarity then. But they're taking action where they're not just taking action on building the list, but they're following through, and they're consistently doing that. And it requires you to build good habits to do that. And that doesn't mean it's very, very easy, like you said, to just put it off, say, oh, I'll call once I have enough leads. Like, hey, go now. And we've had people, in the first week, we just had a guy on our YouTube channel. In the first 7 days, he was doing this where he would make calls every single day. And in his first free trial with us, he landed a $50K wholesale fee. So it's like, hey, this is very much possible. This is very much something that you don't want to go into it expecting your first call to be successful, but you're not going to have action like that unless you, or results like that, unless you really take direct action right away.
It is rare, but I'm telling you, I have at least 60 podcasts of people that have gotten their first deal from Deal Machine. I'm just telling you. That's why we talk about it. That's why, I really push it, because I want to simplify this business as much as possible. And there's nothing simpler than driving around, finding ugly properties, adding them to your database, keeping it organized, and staying in front of them. I'm telling you, you do that enough, you cannot lose. It is impossible. I don't care if you're speaking a different language. If you're just reaching out, well, obviously, I want you to communicate as effectively as possible. But I'm serious when I say that you can go and screw everything up, have no experience. You will find motivated property owners on this list, guaranteed. Yep.
And I know you said fixer upper property, or physically distressed properties. Those can look a wide variety of different ways too. Like, we see people who are really successful driving really nice neighborhoods that have properties with just something a little bit off, like a little bit of something askew, and it just those little things can drastically increase the odds that particular property owner just doesn't want to deal with that particular property anymore. So.
Awesome. Well, let's get into the updates here.
Yeah. So like you said, you're building, you're going out there, you're building this list, you're marketing this list, you're calling people, you're sending mail like that. This is the leads view. So this is where all of those leads, when you tag a property, when you're driving around, this is where they live here. We see our most successful investors, they're going out, they're driving, they're using their phone to tag the properties, and then they're coming back to their desktop to manage this part of the process. And, this is the thing we wanted to really upgrade for people, because this is where that follow through is what matters. Like you said, it's taking action on that. It's being able to consistently follow up with your leads here, to land that deal. So you can see a ton of upgrades here. We actually have a new simplified menu coming out very soon, to be able to show you, like, hey, let's access our maps, leads, the selling, those sales pages we've talked about before, the property pages, dispo, mailers, our list builder, all of that really easy to find with the new menu. But what's rolling out live over these next weeks, some of you already have it, is this leads view right here, where one, you can see a list ad feature. help you kind of score those leads and understand, where should we focus our time? How many lists is that particular lead on within Deal Machine? And we'll kind of help you filter that way. I'll say, you can view any list really easily here now, where you can pull up different tabs and say, hey, I'm going to pull in a tab around leads that were on, this new bulk skip. Here's, a variety of different leads that I can easily pull up and kind of jump between each individual list. So that way you've got, tabs to work from and make it really easy for you to look back and forth of, all the leads that you've added here. And where this is super, super helpful is if you're using multiple technologies, if you're, getting lists from different sources, if you're going in here and you want to actually add leads and import a list from other different things that you're doing outside of Deal Machine, now you can use this as a hub to be able to look and not only score the leads based on this number right here, but come in and actually take action and drive a particular list. And
that's huge. Real quick. Sorry to cut you off there, Matt. You are just in a nice rhythm, and I apologize, but I know there are top companies that are getting better results, and people that I'm coaching getting better results by going out. They upload their lists. They're filtering it into Deal Machine. They're then sending somebody out that they pay hourly to then go out and verify that these properties are truly in distress. Because just because they're on a list doesn't mean that they haven't been remodeled, doesn't mean that that they are, people have no interest in selling that property, that they're in good shape. There's no real motivation. So they're filtering through to find the worst properties that are on a pre-foreclosure list, on a probate list, on a tired landlord list, on a tired multifamily list. And then they're putting it into Deal Machine, getting somebody out there to put eyes on it and verifying that these are good properties. Now, if you're just getting started, don't go through all that. Okay. If you have the manpower, if you have the big budget to be able to hire enough people to be able to do that, it's fantastic. But if you're just starting out, this is a great way to go after very, very, very targeted lists, because it's going to show you, okay, here it is. You drove for dollars. It's also they're also behind in their taxes. So, I mean, these are really, really, really critical things as we are getting more into a market of quality, not quantity.
Yep. And like you said, I mean, especially if you're on that limited budget, like you got to focus on those highest quality leads, and that's where you should be spending most of your time as well. Like regardless of what your budget looks like, time's a resource you can't get back. So being able to come in and import leads, whether it be you can use our list builder and create your own list right inside Deal Machine, or import any outside list that you just talked about there, Brent, and coming in and verifying that these are physically distressed properties on top of that other criteria of what that list already came from to begin with. Like that is going to tell you an extremely high quality lead that has all these different potential motivators. This drive list button right here, when you click on it, you'll see here these leads are spread out a little bit. So you'll see 25 different properties pop up. It actually will estimate for you how long it's going to take to be able to go and drive past each one of these. But you can automatically come in here, either create a task for yourself to go drive it. And when you jump on the mobile app, you can easily click, hey, drive this list, and go, and it'll lock on your location. Or, if you have, like you said, if you're a scaling investor, you can assign it to someone else on your team and have them go out there and drive it, that day. But yeah, the goal is like, hey, we want to make it extremely easy for you to as efficiently as possible verify the condition of each of these properties within your list, and it'll import that GPS right into the Deal Machine app and say, hey, go boom, 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 here. And this is the fastest route possible to find these, to drive past each of these leads.
Well, and I love it, Matt, because I hear all the time, oh, when I call on this list, they've been called, 14 times already this week, or I just can't get a hold of this person. The phone numbers aren't right, or they're just not answering. Well, guess what? How about once a week, you and your whole team, or if it's just you, just spend the day going to these properties and knocking on the door. As long as it's safe, as long as you feel like it's safe, go to the door. Go see if you can have a conversation with this property owner that you can't catch on the phone. Like, you can filter out the people that you've already talked to that have either said that they don't want to sell, or they're in your lead pipeline that you're following up with, and everybody else. I mean, the average contact rate for cold calling is 7%. Well, what do you do with the other 93% that are on your list? You either have to text them, mail them, or go to the door. So it depends on what budget you have, but I think it's a strong strategy to stay proactive. Once a week on a Wednesday, you go out and you go to all the properties and knock on the doors of all these properties that you haven't been able to get a hold of the property owner. These are the things that are going to be so critical in 2022. Because it's getting to these property owners that other people aren't having conversations with. When you are just negotiating one-on-one with that property owner, you get the biggest deals. So think outside of the box a little bit here. Matt's giving you all the tools that you need to be able to go and actually target the right people so that you're not wasting your time talking to people where their property's already in good shape, or they want retail or whatever else. Go to these properties that are stacked on multiple layers of distress. Make that your daily, make it fun, make it with your team, make it with, if you're by yourself, squat up with somebody in your market and you get into in the car and drive around and find these opportunities. I'm telling you, it's going to be really, really, really huge this year.
Yeah, you're dropping gems today, man. I love the door knocking example. That's phenomenal because, like you said, I mean, that in such a competitive market, like, you got to find ways to stand out. If you're going to already drive that list, you're doing something that people that are just pulling a list or buying a list from somewhere else aren't doing. They're not physically driving by. So take advantage of that time there. Go in, if you can door knock like that. I mean, the majority of communication on anyway, so you have a much higher chance of being able to build rapport with people and really, build a true relationship with them and communicate on another level with them. So I love the idea of driving that list and, combining that with door knocking.
Love it. What else?
Awesome. So only other upgrades that I just wanted to highlight, they're coming, they're not quite here yet. We have a pretty big facelift coming on the map side. We do have upgraded data that actually just kicked in, here mid-January now. But we have upgraded data when it comes to skip tracing, upgraded data when it comes to property owner data. I know that's actually going to be updating daily now. It used to be weekly on Mondays. Now that updates daily. And then you can see, again, this new kind of, clean interface is coming out, as well as a new D4D onboarding experience. So anyone, once that's live, people are going to jump in and be able to be guided on a guided 2 or 3 deal machine to sending their first, making their first phone call and sending their first piece of mail. So it's helping you coach through that uncertainty and take action right away and be able to start using the app right away. And we see, like, hey, such a direct connection where if people are actually, going out, adding that property and reaching out to that owner, they're going to see the value. Like, they're way, way, way more likely to stick around with us. And it's because we're giving them the tools and helping them overcome those hesitations. We're just going to be doing a better job of that with that onboarding tour. So that's all coming, as well as, last thing on the D4D side, an upgraded map. Where our new map view is going to be able to come in, and we're going to have like faster loading, smoother driving, better zooming in and out, improved route planning, like a whole new facelift there, and then a virtual D4D upgrade too. So make sure to stay tuned. That'll all be coming out over the next coming months, and excited to relay that bit by bit to you guys and make sure you're some of the first people that have it.
I love it. Listen, the stats in smaller markets: 300 to 400 addresses per deal, 600 to 1,000 addresses per deal in the bigger markets. Remember, in the smaller markets, the average deal size is about 10,000. In the bigger markets, it's 20,000. So we're talking about going out there, putting in the work to build your list. But remember, that list lasts and unless they just to talk strategy here that my team implements, we keep our Driving for Dollars list in action year round. I mean, I am telling you, they'll tell us no, they don't want to sell right now. At some point, they're going to sell. The number one rule in our business is if the property is in rough condition, if it is just an ugly house, it is staying in our database until that property sells to somebody else or sells to us. Because eventually, they might not want to sell now, but they will want to sell in the future when something happens, whatever decision that whenever the decision comes up that they're going to make to sell that property, it's going to happen, right? Unless they're going to sink a bunch of money, which most people don't, they're going to have to sell to a cash buyer. They have to sell to a cash buyer because a conventional loan won't lend on these properties. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the roughest properties out there in the marketplace that need cash offers. Keep them in your database forever and keep talking to them, keep building it. So you might need 300, 400 addresses to get one deal, but you might pull out 10, 15, 20 deals from those addresses over time.
Yep. 100%. Yeah. And I think, like you said, the whole goal here is to be able to focus on that quality of lead, getting out there to drive for dollars is where you can do that best, and then be able to consistently stay top of mind with them. And truly, getting out there and talking to people. I mean, that's where you're going to be putting together long-term success. So excited to show all this stuff off and give people the tools to do that.
Awesome. Matt, thank you so much for spending some time talking all the updates. Remember, Deal Machine loves this channel. They love Wholesaling Inc. Rhino Tribe. They give the biggest discount possible. Make sure that you use the coupon code TTP when you are checking out at dealmachine.com. Dealmachine.com. Use that coupon code TTP. Matt, you are so quality. You are a superstar. You are the best. Thank you so much for jumping on here and giving us all the updates.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate the time as always, man. And, good luck to everybody out there.
Thank you, guys. Listen, for real, 80% get their first deals from Driving for Dollars. It is a staple list that you have to build. Make sure that you're doing it every single week. I am telling you, these are the big deals that come from these opportunities because they need the most renovation. So that's it. That's it for me. I will end this podcast as I always do, encouraging you to go out there and talk to people. Till next time. Love you guys. See ya.